And there's a case study that in fact Dave was just talking about. So here's one country, we'll just call it the southern neighbor without implicating any country, but there's a dominant pathotype in that country and it has virulence on the SR24 gene. There's a northern neighbor that has in fact a different dominant pathotype, but there is a low frequency of this pathotype in this country that is virulent on that gene. And that gene is SR24. So we would hope that a decision made by this country to release a variety would be made in light of the fact, with the information from surveillance that would tell them that this is the predominant pathotype just south of you, and any variety carrying that should not be, we would not recommend releasing a single gene protected variety in that country. So in fact, these varieties were formally released by that northern neighbor. We'll call this variety David. We should probably change that to Dr. Prosher or somebody. And this is Zacharias. So this is the information that we were able to get. And so one problem is that, near as I could tell, there was no information from a screening nursery that told us anything about those guys. We were able to get a hold of some seed of the varieties and do a molecular marker assay, and we determined that in fact, yes, they have a resistance gene, and yeah, it is SR24 in fact. That's the gene that's virulent, that the TK, well, what is it, which? TTKST is virulent on.
A new one, TTKTT.
Or that one. So that's a problem. Two of the varieties have the exact same pedigree. So there's even less genetic variation. There is no variation for that single gene, but there is also much less. Certainly they can be different, but they carry many of the same genes based on the pedigree. And they all carry this single cross. And so this is something that I think variety release committees have a responsibility to manage. Wheat breeders have a responsibility to deliver varieties. Hopefully they are informed by this information, first of all, so that a variety release committee doesn't have to worry about making this kind of an allocation or a decision. As Dave mentioned, that northern neighbor has a real problem with finding varieties that have a place in the near term in the marketplace at the risk of single gene uniformity, single gene deployment of that gene. So I believe there is a role for science and policy to enable the durability of resistance. The science, which Callie asked about, what about SR31? I think we knew what we were doing when we were always using SR31, but we didn't do a very good job of understanding the consequences. And certainly there are policies that can be made by governments to influence what we can do. They can make it illegal for us to do something like release a genetically modified product. So science can in fact discover genes from different sources. We can develop transgene candidates at whatever expense. We can in fact try to develop varieties with 2, 3, and 4 resistance genes, or even try to put them into cassettes, which is also very difficult and expensive. And we can develop gene deployment strategies as well. And we can also, we really need to not just go out on surveillance, but we need to make sure that we inform that community. And if we're going to develop sound policy, then that policy committee or that policy body has to be informed as well. And we never know I think the question you have to ask is genes that are coming into production, whether they meet the Roy Johnson test of durability or not. I think we don't know. We have some clues as to what it takes. Lots of time and lots of area to find out whether a transgene is any more durable than SR31.